Are you a real estate investor trying to build your local presence in 2022 and moving forward into 2023? Then you need to know this little secret. Hey, my name's Sean Tiberio, and I help real estate investors get more motivated leads online organically so you can get away from the rat race, cold calling, cold texting, and quite frankly, relying on the stressful marketing campaigns. Now, if you're a real estate investor and you're looking to explode your 2022 and 2023 local presence, and I've got 5 simple tips to share with you in today's video on how you can not just build it, but dominate the local scene and become quickly known as the go-to real estate expert. Let's dive in. So the first tip, if you're trying to explode your local presence and really build a solid local presence, is none other than the Google Business Profile. You see, this profile right here is probably the best, the most powerful business profile that you can establish for your brand. And with Google really pushing on the local level, meaning they want their searchers, they want people looking for businesses or looking for the answers to their questions to be served by and fulfilled by local presence. The Google Business Profile is more important than ever. We see real estate investors consistently get solid phone calls, solid opportunities, and solid leads coming through their Google Business Profile once they have it optimized. And it's simply because they're local to the area, and because of that, Google starts to reward it. So leveraging that Google Business Profile and really dominating the map pack, getting yourself ranked inside of there is one of the fastest ways to start to establish that solid local presence. Staying with the digital scene, the other one is leveraging location-based SERP pages or search engine pages. You see, having very specific pages on your website that really speak and dial in the messaging to that location. Example would be if I were to go on Google and type in "We Buy Houses" because I'm looking for a We Buy Houses company and let's say I'm originally from Youngstown, Ohio. So what if I typed in "We Buy Houses in" and started to type in Youngstown, Ohio? If I had a very specific page built out on my website that talked all about being a house buying company or a We Buy Houses company, or that we buy homes in the Youngstown, Ohio market, that page is going to start to show up more frequently than, let's say, my homepage or some of the other stuff. So having very detailed, specific location-based pages that also are going to amplify and show up in the digital scene as those searchers are doing. Coupled with tip number 1 and leveraging that Google Business Profile, now we're starting to create the 1-2 punch. We're starting to show up in the map pack section. We're going to start to show up in those organics. And when we start to see our brand consistently showing up, they quickly start to be recognized as an industry leader. They start to become known as the dominant force. And you start to hear things like, man, I see your company everywhere. I see your brand everywhere. And that's what it means to really build that local presence. Taking it offline here for a second, I got 2 tips that are all on the offline side of things. And the number 3 tip that I have for you here is signage. Now, I'm not talking about just putting signs anywhere and everywhere, but being very specific and being very strategic in where you're going to put brand recognizable or brand recognition style signage throughout your local market would be very powerful in establishing that local dominance or that local presence. Examples would be if you had the ability to maybe get a sign put up in a very heavily trafficked area. One thing that we did when I was back in Ohio in the mid 2012, 13, 14, we always wanted to get the billboard on the busiest street. Why? Because there was a ton of traffic there, and it wasn't because that one billboard was going to draw a bunch of leads, but it was going to establish ourselves as a brand in the local area. And the more that we were able to get signage out in very strategic spots where we knew there was heavy traffic, where we knew there was a lot of eyeballs, it started to bring those conversations. We'd meet somebody and they'd say, hey, I saw your sign somewhere. I saw your sign over here. And it started to connect the dots. And then when we're talking about building our local presence, that's what we're really saying here is I just want to get my brand recognized. So using signage, getting offline for a minute here and putting signs in very strategic locations where there's a lot of traffic, where maybe there's a lot of influence. These type of things are going to help build that local presence for you. Now, the fourth tip that I have for you is still offline as well, and it's the tried and true direct mail. You see, direct mail, in my opinion, is not dead when done properly or done with a very strategic approach. And one way that you can start to build that brand recognition is just by sending brand focused brand messaging direct mail to very targeted locations. One of the things that we do really well at REI Toolbox is we help real estate investors with just that, with software, being able to pinpoint exactly the best places based on data, based on home styles and these type of things, to put direct mail in mailboxes of not just anybody, but people that are probably needing your service or probably a ideal candidate in the future to work with you. But more importantly, it gets that brand recognition out. There's still nothing better than something physical, tangible in somebody's hand, or trying to build that brand recognition. Now, when we couple that with tip number 1 and number 2, and making sure that the digital scene, our online side, our Google business profile, our local pages that are on our website, we make sure that those are dialed in, then we know that we're good, because when they get that physical piece of mail in their hand, and maybe they've seen a sign around town like I talked about in tip number 3, at some point they're going to go online and look, and that's where tips number 1 and number 2 come in. Now, number 5, we're going to put the fire on this all. Number 5 is probably one of my favorite tips, but it's also one that I feel most real estate investors overlook, or they discount. They don't put a lot of emphasis on this, and this is getting involved in your local market, more so getting involved in your local groups, your local chamber of commerce, your local Rotary clubs, your local Kiwanis organization. Getting involved in these groups, not because that's who's going to give you the lead, but more importantly, to build the relationship and to get your business name out there, and for them to start to connect the dots that, hey, Sean owns this company, REI Toolbox, and here's what they do. So when they meet somebody, who's the first person that comes to mind? If it's somebody that would be an ideal candidate for me, it's myself, right? And that's how those referrals start to come. So get involved in these groups, but more importantly, get involved in their events. And a lot of times they're looking for sponsors. They're looking for people to, donate a little bit of money to help put on that event. And through that, you're going to get a banner. Maybe you're going to get some signage. You're going to get some recognition. You're going to get some information put on the website. And these are other great ways to build that brand in your local market, because you're getting involved locally, and it ties back to your business. So it starts to make your business look good, but it also starts to bring that brand recognition out. So get involved in your local groups, the Kiwanis, the chambers, the Rotaries, and all the different types of groups that maybe you would get some fulfillment out of. But by doing that, show up as your business. Make sure your business is also being discussed or talked about, or make sure that you let people know who it is that you are and what your brand is. So as you can see, building a local presence for your real estate business isn't difficult. It just takes a little bit of strategy and a couple key things that you can do that are going to quickly start to build that presence. Now, if you want more real estate tips like this, be sure to subscribe here to this channel. Keep coming back each and every week as I continue to bring tips and tricks that are going to help you start driving more motivated leads organically, without you doing the rat race marketing of cold calling nonstop, cold texting nonstop, and basically flat out begging for people to work with you. Until I see you on another video, be sure to check out the other videos that are here on this channel. And as always, here's to your real estate success.